Welcome to the Be That Healing Girl podcast. And today on this episode, we're going to talk about healing anxious attachment triggers. And this special episode is around validation. And I'm only just giggling to myself because external validation it just really complex relationship with that. I totally understand. And so, what I mean by validation, external validation, is maybe your person just told you that you're pretty and you need more. That wasn't enough. Or it can also look like you need to call up your friend the moment that you don't get that text back, and you have a hard time navigating that situation without talking to a friend, talking to a family member, running it by your peeps, you know what I mean? So that's all of that is related to what I consider an anxious attachment trigger around validation and external validation. So if that sounds anything like you, then honey, you are in the right spot. Let's dive into it. And my name is Claire. If you're new here, I'm a relationship coach and I love helping successful in many walks of life, whether that's academics, street smarts, overachieving, high performing girlies who you are slaying in your career, but you are sucking in a relationship. And I mean, and when I say sucking in a relationship, maybe your relationship is floating and it's good, but you just feel like the plug could just be pulled any second, any moment. So if that is you, then honey, you're in the right spot. You're in good company. And if you are enjoying this particular podcast episode or any of the other episodes, hitting the 5-star review means so much. It's going to feel often like I'm just speaking into the void. So whenever I upload a podcast and I check on it, it feels so nice to just see a little 5-star review, and it just takes 2 seconds. Okay, let's dive in. So, also, just a fair warning here and a trigger warning. I am going to be talking about some sensitive material pertaining to addiction, body image, and food. So if that is something that is sensitive to you, please, this is not the episode for you to be listening to. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about it. So just know thyself, make good decisions, make good choices, and that's your notice. Okay, so this is something that feels really near and dear to my heart because this is also something that I've noticed even that when I was healing or in that phase. And by the way, like there's no such thing as perfect, that these triggers for me even haven't gone away. We just get better tools to handle them. And I will just say from my perspective, instead of that urge to get that external validation comes up, of course, somebody telling you that you're pretty is nice, or giving you a nice compliment is great. But really now it is just icing on the cake. It's not anything where in the past it was I had to talk to the friend. I had to really have him tell me another time that I was pretty, whatever the case was. Okay, so just making some really clear distinctions in that. So I think it's important that I do just share this, and I was really weighing, should I talk about it or not, and did the due diligence of saying the trigger warning. But I just really know how this feels because it wasn't unfamiliar. It was very familiar for me. And the reason why you might be feeling that your setting of your reset button is really easily pushed when you get that external validation, you just cannot help but feel like you need more of it. Part of it is because I really believe in my experience that anxious attachment can feel like a compulsion. And when I say that, I mean they have just told you the compliment, and it's like 5 minutes, 5 days, 5 weeks. You didn't hear it the first time, and you need to hear it again. And when I say compulsion, there is a cycle of that where, and I'll just use the example of when I was in my own addiction around food, where I would eat a lot of food and like my capacity literally stretched. I could consume a lot of food and then relieve myself of that. And what I saw as I was on my healing journey and healing my own attachment style was that my threshold was growing. Like I needed more and more compliments. I needed more and more food. So I saw this parallel that was really clear. And being able to see that parallel from my own experience was part of why I was able to heal it in the way that I was. And what you don't probably realize is that getting the external validation, while it feels good in the moment, there is major impact, and you are actually reinforcing the compulsion. I know. I love you. Like, this is probably like a lot to hear, but we are actually doing more damage to ourselves and the relationship by feeding the compulsion. And what I want, even though that is really tough and hard news, what the relief I want to send to you is that you are not your thoughts that are driving the compulsion. You are not the actions that are of the compulsion. You are actually something different. And when I look at how I heal and how I walk my clients through how to heal into an earn secure place, it is a really important step to be able to separate and get yourself out of the cycle and have the support to break the compulsion and to heal and to manage that. So I say that with a lot of love and a lot of compassion, because I understand it can feel like, well, it feels good. And I don't disagree with that. Like, I totally understand it does feel good. So one of the ways that we understand how to heal is to be able to be in the discomfort without going to the compulsion. And that is, it's simple, but not always easy, which is why getting support, getting insight, having the right tools, having the process is so important, because a lot of times we sit in the discomfort and then we go right back to it because we don't have a process, which is why, like, love you so much and keep listening to the podcast. We save 1,000 social media posts. We listen to podcasts. But really, all of that might be reinforcing the problem instead of actually solving it. So I say that with so much love and a lot of just understanding. And the relief is that I hope is the gift to you is that realizing that you're not the compulsion, you are not your thoughts. You are actually something totally separate from that. So that being said, I want to take some time to go to the mailbox, and this is something new that I've been adding, which I'm really excited about, because answering a mailbox and is super fun for me. If you see any of my content, it's just answering questions. But I do something really special in my community, the Healing Girl Gang, where there are trainings galore. Each month you get a training around overthinking, overanalyzing, just all these different topics to help you heal your anxious attachment with workbooks. It's like super robust. I'll put the show notes below. But I'm going to answer a question from one of the members. It's one of the special things that you get in the community. And so this one's from Tracy, and Tracy says, I seem to continually pick unavailable men. Totally get that. Been there, done that. Embarrassing to say, married included. Been there, done that. Please don't judge. No judgment. Who only give me bits of time and attention, and I'm willing to settle. It will be okay for a couple of weeks, and I assert myself and break up, to then feel alone, forgotten about, and sad, which leads me to reach out again. It's an awful cycle. So I just want someone to care about me, think about me, and sexually desire me, but I also don't want to be smothered. I'm just giggling because this is something I know really well. I'm so lonely when I don't have someone in the wings. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with me? Okay, so Tracy, first thing, there is nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. And I mean, this is just, I'm going to kind of tie some things together, what we were talking about in this episode, which is, this is a pattern, it's a cycle, and really, we are creatures of habit, okay? We just keep doing the same thing again and again, because that is literally how our brains are structured. We learn through association. So the first thing that I want to say is, what is wrong with me? And that right there, Tracy, is part of the problem. And that is thinking that there's something wrong with you, and all the things that we do with thinking that we're wrong. We make ourselves wrong. We feel blame. We blame ourselves. We shame ourselves. We make ourselves wrong. And so the cycle that you're in, and the choices and the behaviors that you're exhibiting, that goes so much deeper. And when I say deeper, I mean subconsciously. And what is going on in your subconscious that is creating the cycle, because that's where it all lies, when we get to the root of the problem. And so what I think is unique about when I teach clients in my community or one-on-one, it is about the deeper subconscious work. Because if we just try to stop at the level of the conscious cycle, you're only going to repeat it. So this is why you might say, oh, well, like, married, duh, horrible decision. That is on the conscious level. So, and I'll just say this about what might be happening, and I want you to ask this for yourself, but what part of you subconsciously is seeking out the unavailable men? And this might sound absolutely bananas, but when we believe something, and beliefs are our subconscious and our conscious create our beliefs and create our reality. But when when I see somebody, and I've been there myself, where I felt so, my thoughts and my feelings centered around I wasn't lovable, that I wasn't good enough. And so I created situations where the reality reflected my belief, where yes, I was not good enough because I created a situation where I was attracted to a married man, like totally literally unavailable, because that was just a reflection of my own internal belief that I wasn't worthy and I wasn't good enough. So that's what I created. And I'm saying that with just, I hope you are hearing me level with you around, this is just a subconscious belief that you are playing out. And while we could have a whole conversation around our subconscious and retraining ourselves, because you can, what that this your subconscious beliefs are all things that you were taught or that you picked up. Really, it's actually not even taught. It's the things that you picked up in order to survive. So somewhere along the line, you picked up that you weren't good enough, right? Weren't good enough. You had to be more pretty. You had to be more attractive. You had to whatever, fill in the blank. And that is ruling the roost in your own life, because you are creating a reality that reflects your beliefs. So, and that just, I'll leave it at that, because again, the patterns that you're exhibiting, the cycle that you're in, how we create our subconscious is an intricate web. It's an intricate web based on past experience, past thoughts, all of that, because that's how our brain works. So just knowing that, okay, at the level of my belief, and what can I do, how can I challenge those beliefs, will be a great place to start. And of course, you're in the Healing Girl Gang. We are slowly taking the cruise ship approach on how to unravel that. And if you are needing more support, you can always talk to me about one-on-one support. Maybe I'll put the link below, but you can send me a DM. So these podcasts mean so much. I cannot wait, because the next masterclass that we have, when this episode drops, is about self-trust. So when we trust ourselves, self-trust is putting the plane together as we fly. Self-trust is something that we can do in the moment, step by step, in order to really not need that external validation to stop our patterns. So if that is of interest to you, our masterclass is coming up in the Healing Girl Gang, and I look forward to seeing y'all soon. Love you. Mwah.